We are back. We are getting to class number 8. We're 50% of the way, actually higher than 50% of the way done with the Obsession Beast Parent Education Level 1 course. We are now at class number 8, and this is all about understanding age development curriculum so that you as a parent can better understand long-term development. So we're going to try and look at the what, the where, the when, the how, and the wow of youth development so that you can understand it better. And that's the whole focus of this class today. Because a lot of times what I see with, for example, like U8 teams, they're playing 7v7 3 days out of the week in practice, when that's probably not what they should be doing if they don't have the level, which I'm going to expand on shortly so you'll understand why. But the whole thing that we're going to answer today, outside of the what, where, when, how, and why, is what should sessions look like per age group for long-term development. So in this class, we're going to break down a few ranges of age groups, not the entire thing from U8 to U19. We're really focusing closer on the U8 to like U13. That's the key range here because this is where we want to focus and maximize development, okay? So I need you to think about the average U6 to U9 youth soccer player. And I'm not talking about the top level, I'm talking about the average because, like, for example, inside our organization, we have some very, very strong, at least they were last year, they were U9 last year, they were probably top 10 in Florida from a U9 perspective. So they could do things well above what the average group of U6 to U9 could do. And that's what this is about the average U6 to U9, which means they're going to have more than likely little to no skill. They're going to have very little game experience. They're going to be new to the game, and they want to have fun. That's basically the intrinsic piece about youth development. Now, if we think about the average player again, they're going to understand the following, and that's basically it at this age group, especially U6 and younger. And even then, they might not be able to understand all of it. But here it is, right? They can understand themselves, the ball, defender, and teammate. That is 4 things. Them, so if, for example, if I'm a U8 player, it's me, a ball, teammate, and defender. That's basically it. They're not going to be able to understand much else. Now, you're probably thinking, well, I don't think that's accurate, Kyle. That's cool. What do most players do at this age range? And everybody tells them, by the way, whether it's coaches and parents, tells them not to do. And you know what it is? It's dribbling. They're going to say, don't dribble past the ball. Kids at this age, they want to fall in love with the ball. They don't know how to share the ball yet. Like, if you ask freaking the average 8-year-old to share food, they're not going to share food, are they? They don't want to share the ball either. They want to dribble. So that's why they can understand themselves, the ball, a defender, and a teammate. And yet, even at U9, the average U9 team or player won't be able to do much more than this, yet we're throwing them into 7v7. This is where it gets completely haywire and nuts. Okay, so I hope this makes sense to you, and you're going to see why this and how it translates to the age development curriculum, which you're going to see in about 5 seconds. So here's the first one. This is actually our structure that we implement. We try to do our best to follow this for all of our teams at the U8 and U9 to meet them where they're at. But I want to highlight one word here where it says modify as necessary based on level of the group. And that is so key. Okay, but this is based on an 1.5 hour practice. Obviously, things can be modified. And you can see phase 1 is what we call technical activation. So they're going to be doing only 2 main skills, juggling and dribbling. And that is it. Notice, by the way, there's nothing about passing. It's juggling and dribbling, and that is literally it. And look at the time frame, by the way, 20 to 30 minutes. Now, phase 2 ties into phase 1, by the way, because you can kind of time together. You don't need really any equipment to work on coordination. Just make sure you understand that again. To work on coordination, you don't really need any equipment at this age. Could you use like a hurdle and stuff? Sure, you could. But there's basic speed and agility or coordination movements and mobility that you could work on without using any equipment to help them improve, for example, eye-foot coordination, eye-hand coordination. Okay, and you can see phase 3, we start entering the small-sided games. This is now 1v1 or 2v1, depending on the topic. Notice there's no 5v5 or 6v6 or 7v7. 1v1 or 2v1. That is literally it. Okay? Now let's look at the final phase. Phase 4, the game. Notice here when we say game, we're trying to put them into more game-based situations. Notice it says 3v3 or 5v5. It does not say 7v7. And in fact, we prefer 3v3s or smaller. We just give the option to go up to 5v5. Now, that hopefully makes sense to you. And then you'll see some stuff that should be similar from before in previous classes. But let's move on to the next one. Now we're at U10 and U11. So if you notice here, it's practically identical with basically one phrase change. Let's see if you can figure it out. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to figure it out while I'm showing you the other pieces, right? So this is U10 and U11, an hour and 30 minutes. And you can see here, it says, again, modify as necessary based on level of the group. So if you have a group that's very low level, you're not going to do any passing. I just gave you the key word, passing. We've added passing to this category. Now, if the team or players and then team don't have the level to be proficiently passing the ball, or at least comfortable to make passes right foot and left foot, they're not working on passing. They're working on juggling to work on ball control, and they're doing dribbling to work on footwork. That's what we're doing. Now, if the team has level, like for example, we have one team that is U10 currently. They're, again, top 10 in Florida. Not that that actually matters in any way, shape, or form, but it's just to give you reference. They are able to do much more passing concepts. So like one thing that we do with them currently is they do a lot of overlaps and 1-2s and give goals. They're doing that kind of stuff right now because they have the level. We have another U10 team that is not at that level, so they basically do zero passing. There might be a little bit of training with passing, but it's juggling and dribbling. That's it. And then again, same thing, coordination the same. You can see phase 3, 1v1 or 2v1. Now you might remember that documentation we showed you previously with like the possession or creating a player surplus or solving a player surplus. That's the premise of where this comes from in phase 3. Now again, let's look at phase 4, 3v3 or 5v5. Notice again, the only change so far has been passing. There's been nothing else that's a change. Okay, now let's look at U12 and U13. Now there are, again, some small differences here, and you'll see them here in a second. All right, phase 1 is practically identical. Phase 2, identical. And phase 3 is where we have a small change now. Now we allow it to go up to 5v4 depending on the topic between those three things. Creating a player surplus, solving a player surplus, or possession. Now, for the game, we prefer 3-3 or 3v3 and 5v5. However, again, the key word here, or key phrase, modify as necessary based on level of the group. If the group is high enough level, then we can add greater components. Maybe it's 7v7, maybe it's 9v9, maybe it's, because U13 is technically 11v11. We could get to 11v11 in training, but the group has to have the level. So I think, or I should say, I hope what you're learning from this is that the most important thing is that we develop, we prepare, we provide experience, and we make sure that, again, using prepared again, the players are ready before we put them into environments so they can have success. Now, you may remember this from last class with the 7v7 or 9v9 question, right? So you're going to see this again because I really want you guys to understand this premise and really take it home. 1v1, or I should say before that, responsibility to win or lose in a 1v1 is 100% on you or the player to win or lose. 2v2 is 50%, 3v3 is 33.3%, and 4v4 is 25, 5v5 is 20. Right, you probably remember this. Now, we look at 7v7 and 9v9 again. 7v7 is 14% responsibility to win or lose. 9v9 again is 11% with 11 repeating responsibility, which means players are going to get pigeonholed, and they won't in the 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, or 5v5s. Now, this is going to be new content coming up here in a second. These are what we call our yearly objectives. Now, we're presenting these through, again, same format, U8 to U13. This is what we use with our organization to hopefully show parents growth. These are our yearly objectives. This is what we want your player to learn throughout the year. This is what we plan to teach them, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? So if we look at U8, if we have U8 players, we want them to get 10 juggles, to practice and learn fakes and feint skills, to practice and learn change of direction skills, to be able to use the inside, the outside, and the sole of the foot. The sole is the bottom. Proper passing technique. Now, this is important. Again, it depends on the level of the players. However, we feel that it is important to at least show them how to correctly pass a ball. So that doesn't mean we actually focus on passing, but we show the proper passing technique. So for example, if they want to use their toe, we show how to use the toe. If they want to pass correctly with the inside of the foot, we show that. We don't focus on it, but we show it. That's why this is here. And then this can be translated up. So if they can't do it at U8 because they're not ready, we push it to U9. Hopefully that makes sense. 1v1 ability, basic 1v1 concept, to be able to recognize width, develop internal confidence to play and be successful at 1v1, and then obviously capable of playing from the back. And then bottom thing there in asterisks, play various positions all year. That's achievable with 3v3 and 5v5 or smaller numbers. Much harder when you get to 7v7 and 9v9. Okay, now I'm not really going to read all of this to you. I think you can take the time to read it. But you can see U9, same thing. There's 9 things that they have to learn, right? And some of it's a continuance. For example, juggling is continuance. We have escape moves. That's a whole new skill set. And you can see confidence using skills. Confident receiving ball under pressure, right? There's a whole list of stuff here that you're hopefully analyzing. Maybe you need to take a screenshot, write it down, whatever it is. Keep this for yourself because you could use this within your own environment with your child. So if your child plays for an organization, are they learning these things? And that's critically important. Let's move on to the next category. We have U10 and U11. Okay, so again, it's continuing to expand, but what you need to remember is if your player has not learned what U8 and U9 need to be able to do, how can we expect them to be able to achieve U10? We can't. They haven't developed the fundamental skill yet. So if your player has not been able to achieve the yearly objectives for U8 and U9, how can we expect them to achieve the U10 yearly objectives? It's not reasonable or expected for them to do so. You might think so as the parent, but I'm trying to help you reframe that so you understand that they have to learn these things first, okay, before we can get to the U10 category. So just keep that in the back of your mind, okay? So we have 10 things again. Juggling continues. All skill move mastery. So that's all skill moves, which would be fakes and feints, changes of direction, escape moves, and stops and starts. Those are our skill move mastery. Okay, so you can see stops and starts is the next skill. Technical ability to pass with both feet. Technical ability to pass with both feet. So the ability with repetition to make passes. Combination play, 1-2s and overlaps. Confident in 1v1 ability. Create space for teammates. So you're not just trying to get the ball yourself, you're trying to create space for a teammate. Recognize numerical advantages. Understand that we're solving a player surplus. Marking ability, quote unquote defense. Vocal press, that means speaking, press to signal defensive cues. And you can see on the bottom again with the asterisks, play various positions all year. And this continues again with U11. But we can't expect U11 yearly objectives to be achieved if the U10, U9, and U8 objectives cannot be achieved. It would be unreasonable to think so. Okay, so moving forward, we get to U12 now and U13. More information, more detail. 50 juggles for U12. Now, we've added a piece here, at least 15 juggles with the second foot. When we say second foot, that means the left foot, for example. If the player's right-footed, second foot would be left foot. Now, you need to remember, by the way, this is the minimum standards, and I should have said that earlier. I apologize for that, but this is the minimum standards from a yearly objective. So you kind of have an outline of what to look for and expect. Now, we hope we achieve more than this, but if they don't have these skills, it's hard to do so, as I've mentioned previously. The ability to play a lofted pass. That means not a chip, but a ball with the instep and loft, so a floated ball. Comfortability passing with both feet. Visual awareness scanning, so they're checking their shoulders and being aware of the positions around them and teammates and defenders. Proper body position when receiving. Recognizing passing angles. That means they can understand where to move to receive the ball, what we call repositioning if necessary. Capable of creating triangles of play. That means you need 3 people to play a ball. 1, 2, 3. 1v1 defensive stance and understanding basic team shape. And you can see here, it changed slightly from playing variety of positions or various positions to play 2 to 3 positions. And U13 continues in the same form of 2 to 3 positions. And then obviously the core skills, 60 juggles, 20 juggles with the second foot, 1 and 2 touch playing ability, driven passing ability. So instead of lofting the ball, they're driving the ball and keeping it low, and many more things to think about. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. But again, I need you to understand this last point with this, to reemphasize it one last time. It is unreasonable for any of us, myself included, you as a parent, to expect your child to be able to achieve the U13 yearly objectives if they can't achieve the U8 yearly objectives, the U9 yearly objectives, the U10 yearly objectives, and the U11 yearly objectives, and the U12. If they can't achieve those, it is unreasonable for me, for you, for anybody to expect them to be successful with this U13 content if they can't do that part. So that's very, very important. Now, my recommendations are the following when it comes to the age group development curriculum. Okay? Is your child maximizing time in 1v1 to 5v5 play? Same question, but you got to deal with it. What does your child's training sessions look like? Do they look like what I presented previously with the age development curriculum? If not, you might need to be reconsidering very quickly. Use the yearly objective as key development indicators. Is it the end-all be-all? Absolutely not. There's so many more elements to go into. Like, there's more defending pieces, there's more physical pieces, there's coordination pieces, there's mental pieces. But those are just a rough outline, guideline for you to have. It's supposed to say technical. What does technical training look like for your child's team? Apologize for the error. And that would be, again, are they juggling? Are they practicing dribbling? Younger ages, more fun, more goals, play different positions in all phases of play. Again, think about younger players. We've already talked about this in previous class. They want to do those things, and if they're not doing those things, they're going to not like football or soccer at the end of the day. And we want to make sure kids are enjoying the process, having fun, scoring goals, celebrating, and living the dream. And that is the whole point of the Obsession Beast material. So without further ado, guys, we will see you in the next class. Let's keep rocking and let's get back to work.